Captain, did you ever make it to Tantalus?
Unfortunately not. I always meant to, but could never quite make it.
Fascinating.
Hello and welcome to another episode of TrekHammer, where today we're talking about the original series Star Trek episode, Dagger of the Mind. Okay, this one I've been umming and ahhing about because it's got an interesting premise, but I don't think it executes it all that well. So we've got this shipment that's going to a prison planet, essentially, and as a result, a carton gets beamed back up to the Enterprise and says, "Do not open." So no one checks it, and apparently the transporter does not recognize that there is a human being inside this thing. So I don't know how that works. Enterprise security is not very good. Naturally, there's an escaped convict inside it, or that's what we're supposed to think. And he starts sneaking around the ship until he gets to the bridge, having stolen someone's work clothes and a phaser, and then he requests asylum, which I thought was very interesting. So, naturally, the Enterprise immediately turns around and starts to take this guy back, because he's an escaped criminal. Natural thing to do. However, he needs medical attention, very, very clearly needs medical attention, so he gets taken to sickbay, where McCoy and Spock start seeing if there's anything they can do for him. Very good, very natural. Spock attempts the first mind meld in Star Trek history. Very interesting. And they discover that he is actually a doctor from Tantalus, the medical facility on the prison planet. Not a prisoner. But he seems to be a prisoner, and they're regarding him as a prisoner on the prison planet. So, of course, now there's an interesting problem. Kirk's going to have to beam down. So he beams down with a psychiatrist. McCoy decides it's a really good idea to send with Kirk someone that Kirk has dated. Kirk is absolutely right here when he says she had better be the best assistant I have ever had, because McCoy is actually not in a good position here. McCoy has done wrong. They have a previous relationship. It didn't end very well, and both of them seem unsure about working with one another, so it's not a good pairing. She's also not described as the only psychiatrist on board. She's just described as one of the best. So McCoy has actually made a decision to make a joke and send Kirk along with a former girlfriend. Not a great move from McCoy's point of view, but they beam down, and then Kirk has a run-in with the guy running this place, who he has admired because apparently his methods are used everywhere in the Federation. Apparently they get great results. But he doesn't seem to be the kind of person that you'd trust, which is very interesting, because that's what the interesting premise is. Just because someone has done great things doesn't mean they're a good person. I thought that was really good. I don't think it's pushed across enough to really get the point hammered home the way that it would in TNG. And some of the things that happen in the episode kind of pull away from that being the core premise, but it's a very good premise. Then we see some essentially lobotomized people. These are literally lunatics running the asylum, as the old saying would go. They've been essentially mind wiped. They're blank, and there's no expression on their faces. It is rather unnerving. Once it's scary, I would say rather unnerving, because the moment you see them, like, what has happened here? That's not right. Kirk is also not happy. So he has a look at the thing that has been used to essentially mind wipe these people, which also turns out that it is the same thing that the guy requesting asylum on the ship was saying was being misused, and which the person that's running this place says the guy on the ship overused himself. Why would you do that? Because he was left unsupervised. Doesn't seem right. Nothing's adding up, and Kirk is not happy. So he tries the machine to see what it does. And essentially, it's a hypnosis machine, but if you use it long enough, it wipes your brain. So naturally, the bad guy comes in, and it's the guy running the facility. And in order to get rid of Kirk, he decides that he's going to use the machine on Kirk and just get him to go away. Blank him, essentially. And it's interesting how he does it, because he's implanting pain into Kirk. If he ever says what he's seen here, he's going to be in pain. It could be potentially lethal. It's a very interesting form of hypnosis and mind control. again, I don't think it's done well enough in the script to really put across what a danger this thing is and how it is incredibly immoral. The guy that running this place, who has done great things for the Federation, is incredibly immoral. And I don't think it comes across too well. But that's the entire plot. And then Kirk and his psychiatrist assistant, they solve the issue. Everyone comes down from the Enterprise having realised what's going on as well from mind melding with this guy. And it turns out that it's too late because the guy who was running the place gets mind wiped. And that's it. And that's like the rush at the end really doesn't work for me because it's an interesting premise. I don't think it's executed all that well. And then at the end, it's just resolved so quick. But one line does stick with me from the end. Like, he was alone at the end. Imagine nothing, and you're just alone in your head. And all that. So that I'm paraphrasing. But it sticks with you, the idea that, yeah, he was just, piece by piece, he was disappearing, and everything around him was disappearing, and then he dies of loneliness. Like, oh, not a pleasant way to go, but I can't feel sorry for him because he essentially used this machine to lobotomize people for his own pleasures and to control this place. He was essentially the god of this little kingdom, and he got what he deserved. So I don't have any sympathy, but even so, it's like, ways to go. That's not a great one. So what would I say about this? Acting's decent. The way that the woman, who's just completely blank, goes on is very unnerving. She did that really well. I think more could have been done about the facility, and we could have seen a bit more interesting about that. Some of the acting was pretty good. William Shatner does a great job of playing Kirk, and overall, it's not bad. I just think the writing wasn't quite up to scratch. So I'm going to give it a 6.5 on the warp factor scale. Warp factor 6.5, Mr. Sulu. Okay, let me know what you guys think about this one, because I'd love to have a conversation about this episode. It's got some interesting points, and I think we can talk about them as well. But like I say, let me know what you think about it in the comment section down below. But until next time, I've been Zoe Kirk-Robinson, you've been watching TrekHammer, and I'll see you next time. If you like the show, please consider supporting me on Patreon. It really does help create future videos. That's patreon.com/Zoe Kirk-Robinson. And I've got an extra special thanks going out to Chief89, Sam Yates, Retro Mickey 82, Mo Henry, and George Botterini. Thank you so much, guys.